Hey there, and welcome back to Fantasy Football Guru. It's week number 9. We've officially reached the halfway point of the NFL season, so we're going to start off with a mid-season review. What's up with all the top-tier backs?
There is no such thing as top-tier backs. I guess there's one or two backs you could call a regular top-tier performance in LT and Joseph Adai, but week to week, even they're inconsistent. I got to tell you, this isn't the year of the running back. It's the year of the quarterback and the year of the receiver.
Don't fall for the fallacy of you got to have two backs in the first 2 rounds. It's not always right. Are there specific teams that you either want to have guys from or you want to look to match up against who people are playing?
Well, if you could find a way to trade for players on the Patriots or players on the Colts or players on the Browns or Chargers, Cowboys, those are great teams to go after, but they're going to cost you an arm and a leg. What you really want to do is look for teams that have good schedules, okay? Because good schedules are what matter. There's some teams out there like Arizona, which has a very favorable schedule. St. Louis, which has a very favorable schedule. They're not normal teams you'd hear me talk about, but look out who they're playing. By week 9, we now know who has good defenses and bad defenses, which are weak conferences and strong conferences. Evaluate those teams, go after those players, because they're liable to have big-time performances.
And when you say go after those players, I know we've been talking trades, but at this point, you also have to start looking at your roster and realizing who you might have on your bench and being able to elevate. So think about some of the running backs that might be on a bench right now that might have an opportunity, or some teams out there that you see some folks that are ready to come up.
Well, I think you've got a pattern establishing in Detroit. You see Kevin Jones is now getting a majority of the carries. He's actually established himself. This week in particular, he gets Denver. Denver stopped nobody. I think when you look at Steven Jackson's return, people are going to be really susceptible to looking for him on the roster. So you may be able to pry him away and take a chance. Because if you're not 7-1 or 6-2 and a guarantee for the playoffs, it's time to take chances, folks. You don't get a second season in fantasy football.
All right, so let's talk about last week. Balls, pick of the week.
I've got big balls. I'm going with Dante Culpepper. It's a big reach. It's a big player. I like him this week against the Titans.
He stunk.
Well,
he's horrible,
nice.
dude.
At least I had courage. You picked Santonio Holmes.
I picked Santonio Holmes.
Who is a top-flight receiver. I mean, you picked the guy who had 87 yards, 6 catches, and he's done it almost every week of the season. That's not a balls pick. I mean, we'll give you a bye this week, but, I mean, come on.
I don't know that you can say he's a top-flight receiver yet. But coming up, you'll see the balls pick's going to get right back at him.
This week you found some?
I'm going to – not just one ball. I'm going with 2 balls.
Whoa.
We're hanging low.
Love that.
Ready to roll. All right. So let's talk about how to get your team into the playoffs. Who's out there for us to pick up?
Well, first thing we're talking about is the quarterback spot. You know, we talk about players who you can go after and get, and I'm not sure there's going to be a lot of players left on the roster this week. There's a player who I've identified, and that's Sage Rosenfels, who's probably going to get the start. Schaub is out. He's got a concussion. He's hurting. He gets the Raiders. You know, it's not a great matchup, but it's okay. You can work with that.
You know that Kevin Youkilis is going to have him over for Hanukkah. So
it's very nice.
There you go.
It's very nice.
All right, how about running backs?
Well, we start off in Green Bay, and we start off with Ryan Grant, who, when Deshaun Wynn hurt his shoulder, Ryan Grant jumped in, carried the ball 22 times, ran for 100-plus yards, and would anointed the starter almost minutes after the game was over. So go grab him if he's on your waiver wire. Justin Fargas in Oakland. Lamont Jordan's hurt. Dominic Rhodes looks like he's got a Super Bowl hangover. The Raiders don't throw the football, so they get the Texans, and I like Justin Fargas this week.
How about wide receiver?
We got David Patton in New Orleans. We talked about him earlier. He's the clear number 3 receiver there, so you know, I like the way it looks for New Orleans to make a big explosion in the second half of the season. You got Anthony Gonzalez. It looks like Marvin's inconsistently unhealthy. So, you know, I'm a Marvin Harrison owner who's looking to target people like Anthony Gonzalez, make my bench a little stronger.
All right, let's roll into picks of the week. Who you like at the quarterback spot this week, Jordan?
I really like Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers gets his turn to play the worst pass defense in the NFL, and that's the Vikings, who you can't run on. He gets Chris Chambers, so it's another weapon in his lineup. He's already got Antonio Gates. This is a good week for him. I like Drew Brees. You know, it's tough. He's got a tough matchup in Jacksonville, but I think Drew Brees has passed his early season hangover, whatever you want to call it. Hasselbeck plays against Cleveland. Hasselbeck's going to have to score a lot of points for Seattle. He's going to be the main part of that happening for the Seattle Seahawks, so look to put Hasselbeck in that lineup and get him starting again.
All right, how about the guys carrying the rock? Who you like?
Well, we love the rookie in Buffalo, Marshawn Lynch. He gets the Mungles D this week, who gives up a lot of yards on the ground, in the air, through snow, through rain. It doesn't matter. They just give up yards. I like Portis against the Jets. The Skins are angry. They were embarrassed, really embarrassed by the Patriots. So look for Portis to get at least a couple times in that end zone. I talked about him earlier in trade land. It's edge as Mr. James gets a chance to run on the Bucs. They're 22nd against the run, so he's going to zoom against the Cardinals.
All right, and wide receivers besides everybody playing in the pinball game up there in Indianapolis this week. Who are you like in the wide receivers?
Well, we'll touch on the pinball game a little later, but I can tell you this much. Chris Chambers, he's going to be the number one target for Phillip Rivers. He gets to play against the Vikings. I like the Phillip Rivers, Chris Chambers combo. I like Roddy, my main man, White. The reason why this third-year receiver is exploding, Mr. Harrington is going to have, I'm telling you right here, he's going to have one of those games where he's just going to find everybody and throw for like 4 or 5 touchdowns against the 49ers,
Wow.
and Roddy's going to be out there getting it.
Wow.
And then I got Lee Evans. I called it here last week, by the way. I did. I did say Lee Evans was going to go long. 85-yard bomb. He's back, folks. Lozman's a quarterback. Evans is getting balls. He gets the Bengals. He's going to light it up.
Let's move on to everybody's favorite segment, the Balls Pick of the Week. We've already talked about last week. Tell me who you like this week, oh Guru.
The Guru loves Joey Harrington. This is the week. I'm going to remember here, mark it down, at least 2 TDs, at least 200-plus yards. That's my Balls Pick of the Week.
It's like Wall Street. Blue Horseshoe likes whatever that company was.
Anacott Steel.
Anacott Steel. Blue Horseshoe likes Anacott Steel. All right. My Balls Pick of the Week, since I'm taking a lot of garbage about last week, I'm going to give you 2. Number 1 is that running back here in Atlanta. We're both taking Falcons in a Balls Pick of the Week.
Should have worn my jersey.
Should have. I'm going Jarius Norwood. Look out. He is going to rock this week for the Falcons. And I'm going to throw out the wide receiver back in Seattle. DJ Hackett is back, and I think he'll have a big week hooking up with Matt Hasselbeck you mentioned earlier. That's it for this week. We're a wrap. IL Rules want to thank the guys in the back, Brian, Ryan, Nate, and Shelby holding it down in Dallas. Keep it real.